Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, your host, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. Welcome to my podcast. I'm so excited you're here. Today I want to share a walnutting that is not a new one, but is still something that is I don't know the word. It is just here, and I've done it again, and I've done it in faster time than normal, and I'm really excited about it, so I just want to go ahead and share it with you. If you're already in the walnut tree, I already came on scrambling on live video goodness in real time, and I have since had a moment to collect my thoughts and also get a result of the walnutting. So reporting back, me, Laz, hello, welcome to this episode and my walnutting for this week. So, Walnut, I want to preface this episode with the fact that if you have been along on the walnut ride since I first started, when I was back in my travel job, I had this thing where I kind of just stayed in things way past their expiry date, right? Like way back on one of the first 10 Walnut Wednesday episodes is where I talk about how I just stayed at this gym that I wasn't vibing with it anymore way after I should have just quit and because I wasn't feeling it anymore, but just out of loyalty because I started as one of the existing members, and I had this thing in my head about being loyal when the gym owners wouldn't even know. I think they did know me, but not that they would mind. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So I had this thing, right? And I was in my job, which I loved dearly, but it was time. And it was in hindsight, it's so easy to say that I should have left a good 3 years after a good 2 to 3 years into it, right? But I stayed for a while. I think it was in my 6th year that I finally resigned and stuff. So it was a good, beautiful, wonderful 5 years. But the last couple, it didn't suck my soul, but it impacted on my worthiness and all the things that come along with sales roles and stuff like that. But so here I am now, a liberated walnut that's been doing all the walnuttings and doing all the things and learning and growing. And I did an episode recently about how I feel like I experienced my walnut version of a quantum shift, where I, in the role that I am now in my 9 to 5, just put my name in the hat for a different job, right? And I didn't get that one, but I was like, oh my gosh, it took me 5 years to resign from something, and then I moved into getting the job that I am in now, which took me only less than a year. And then I think I'd been there for a year, but then a little while later I was like, well, I can apply for a new job and it's no problem. And it's no big deal. And I don't have weird guilt things and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I digress towards this walnutting, which is very exciting, which was I applied for another role in the job that I am in now. And I applied for it, and I didn't have guilt, and I wanted to put my name in the hat, and I wanted to back myself, and I want to talk through this experience, Walnut, because as a liberated walnut, as a walnut who I deem myself as I can consider myself being a brave and doing the things where possible and walking with the fear and pooing my pants anyway. I was torn because it wasn't with the other one that I had applied for. It was one of those situations where it's I am totally underqualified. There is a 1% chance that I could even be considered for this. But I'm just going to put my name in there anyway and whatever, right? With this job, and I voice noted Kate a couple of times, I actually really wanted it. And so I was constantly ebbing and flowing between the feeling of I am underqualified, like on paper. I am underqualified, so let's just take this as a good experience. It's always good to practice interviews. It's good to like let the people know that I am interested in this if it comes up again. You know, those like little fail-safe backup plans that you have for yourself in case you fail. So I had that, but also from a point of view of like, it is good growth interviewing and practicing talking about myself, like on a it's like the positive version of that failsafe, but also just that cop out of being like, it's good experience. So I had that, and then on the other end was like, I could smash this. I would be really good at this job. I really want it. I actually deserve to get paid more money. Like that part of it as well. So it was like this tossing and toying between like, I've bloody got this, and but if I don't, I'll be okay. And it was just interesting as it was coming up how I just automatically, and I'm sure that you do this too, Walnut. So let me know if you like resonate. But like you sneak in that backup plan just to make yourself feel safer. It is so bizarre. Like, well, I know that I definitely do. Like oh, it's got experience anyway. What have you got to lose? And it's like, actually, no, I've got this. It's like, yeah, it was a really, really interesting feeling. And so, Walnut, what I had to compare it to was when I applied for the job that I am now, which I actually do really love, and I'm a management assistant. If you're not in New Zealand, it's kind of like an executive assistant, but like a tier below sort of thing. So like assistanty things, right? And when I applied for the job that I'm in now, I remember going like, and I remember talking in the walnut tree and being like, and I'm not going to wear any makeup, and I am going to stand in my power and take notes, because that was like one of the biggest hacks that I had ever come across, which was, why the hell am I struggling to bloody memorize and like remember all these examples of stuff and look like I have just like got cue cards of the cliff notes when I get so nervous, I pull a blank and I don't remember anything. So one of my biggest hacks from like my last round of like going for interviews was write notes. And the last time I did this, I actually scripted out lots of examples and lots of things to the questions that they suggested were going to be asked. So I had like almost word for word paragraphs of the examples for me, just because I know myself. and I owned that, and I walnutted in there. And I don't know if this is on the podcast or in the walnut tree, but I walked in and I said like, pardon me, I'm not great on the spot. There's probably a way I could have structured that sentence better about I'm not that great on the spot. Something about potentially interview. I have my room for opportunity for interviews is remembering things. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, I said, pardon me, I'm not great on the spot. I've got notes. Bear with me if I'm looking down all the time. It is because I want to make sure I like am good at this interview and get across what I want to say. And interviewers and people on the panel, they usually know that you come with a ball of nerves, right? So I went in with the notes, and I did a no makeup version walnut. So that was a part of the walnuttings for my last round, where I was like, look, I barely wear makeups now because I love my face, which is bizarre. Because, you know, like even at the travel agent, like always had drawn on eyebrows, always had a minimum of mascara and liquid eyeliner on. And now like, I'm just like bare all the time. And so I was like, well, you know, let's just get people used to my actual face. And so that was another piece of like where I was brave and didn't like cover myself up and do all the things. I just went makeupless with notes and just owned myself. And that job I actually got. And I was also doing that thing where it was like, oh, I don't need this. It's good experience. I'm fine where I am. My job is close to home at the moment. La, 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 la. And then in that interview, I was like, oh my God, I want to work for this woman. Like it was like, oh my God, I actually really want this. So anyway, again, an example of being myself where I got the job, right? And so anyways, I used that as my little example and got in for an interview for this another job that I applied for, where I'm like, I really, really want it. And also like, but it's just good experience, but I really want it. And I almost like, it's not that I deserve it, but I'm like, I could be really good at this job. All the feelings, all the things. You're probably like, hurry up, Liz, tell me the story. Anyway, so in the interview, I decide, let's just go makeup list. No, actually, I did a little bit of mascara because I was like, oh, this week, this week I'm really into wearing the mascara and the liquid eyeliners and all the things. So I'll just go with what I've been doing this week, how I've been feeling. A little bit of, only a smidge of makeup, not a cake face, not like pretending to be someone I'm not, just doing what I'm normally doing. I had my notes. I had my prepared notes. They were not as good as the other time, and they didn't feel as aligned as the other time. And as I have done more work on my undefined throat center, it is not also that good for me to have all of the notes so that I cannot talk freely. So there was lots of things going on, right? Like I had my preparation and my notes weren't the greatest. I didn't actually have that much preparation time, but also I had this like, I am a boss. I am going to just be myself and no makeup and let's just do it. Let's just get this done. And I was feeling really confident up until, and then on the day I got extremely nervous. I was even really empowered. I was so empowered, Walnut, that I went bold. I was a bold bish. I wore a full leopard print dress because I was like, know me. Know me, remember me. I'm the leopard girl. I'm a box of bananas. You want me to hire me. Like I was like really in my like goddessness, like, hello, look at me, dee, peacocking around the show, like who even am I? but that's how I felt. And then getting there, I just started getting that feeling. I get this feeling like it starts from like the bottom of my throat, goes down to my tummy, and I was just getting so scare-sighted, but it was more scared than sighted. Like I just got so in my head, Walnut, about like what I had prepared and how I wasn't like sure about what I prepared. My notes weren't that great, all that kind of stuff. And I felt like I bombed that because, of course, the questions that I prepared for were completely not what I got asked. And the things that I got asked, Walnut, and this is to show you how nervous I am. The first question one of the panel members asked me was, tell me what you do in your current role. So it's not a rocket science answer. It's a very easy answer, something I don't need to think of even an example of. I just need to say what I do every day. But because I knew that my notes didn't say anything about my current job, the data wasn't computing with my brain and what I had on the papers to translate any of the examples I had written to discuss them. So like, it sounds really bizarre, right? But when you're like nervous, it just didn't compute. So I was like, oh my God, I have to breathe. And I felt like I have to wing this. My notes don't make sense. I have to bloody wing this. I have to just rely on being myself. I had to rely on being myself. And so I did. So I didn't use much of what I had on the paper in front of me. I just answered honestly as myselfically. And I don't even remember what I said. I don't remember what came out. All I remember is feeling like still so nervous and just feeling like I bombed. Feeling like I really, really bombed. But also, again, in that duality, like still feeling like I was myself. And knowing that interviews are so relative to the panel, to the person that they want, to all the things, like I was like, that's all I can do at the end of the day is just be me, right? And the interesting discussion that I had was about how that's the default state when you feel like example, Walnut, I felt like I was completely, totally, and utterly myself. There was no curation. There was no like well articulation that I had written like in the notes. It was just like how I talk, coming out, just be myself in my leopard print. And how I thought that made me bomb, right? That made me suck because I was myself, because I was not the curated, corporal using like terms or changing sentences around to make them sound a bit more strategic. I thought that made my interview not that great, yet I was completely authentically myself. Isn't that weird, Walnut? Tell me if you resonate and if this makes sense to you, because I think it is an interesting topic, and I don't think I'm the only person that does this, where you just feel like you always just need that little bit more, like that little bit of makeup more, or wear the black so you blend in, but actually like you're born to stand out. Right? And since then, Walnut, I remember like I got a smirk out of one of the panel members. They said I did a good job. I got a phone call, Walnut, that just said that I was a standout and that I did really well, and that quote unquote, you could tell that you were nervous. We could see that there were nerves. Walnut, they were really bad as well. Like there was one point where I even had to like hold the table and be like, sorry, let me start again. And close my eyes and have a breath because I was just waffling on. So I got the feedback that I was a standout, that it was good, and that I am the kind of person that they want on their team, which is amazing and beautiful and wonderful. But the moral of my walnutting is that I noticed that I bagged myself because I was myself, but being myself is what got me the being the standout of the interviews, right? So I really, really wanted to share this part with you, Walnut, because I just want to encourage you to, and I know it's hard. I'll put my hand up, guilty, and say that I know it's hard, but really encourage you to be yourself, because people are looking for a people like you. There will always be someone who picks you over the other person, and we always go through life that not picks you over the other person, right? There is no hierarchy of she's better than you and he's better than this, blah, blah, blah. It's just that we are not for everyone. You are not for everyone, and you are for someone. People will always be searching for the person, and the only way that you can make yourself known as the person, as the one, as the standout, is by being your true self. And I know your true self is just absolutely 150 gajillion% wonderful, beautiful, good at whatever it is you do. Like, you're amazing. And why do we hide behind that and think that we suck when we behave like we are our actual selves? Right? We put on the makeups, we wear the outfit that looks really good on the Pinterest model, but like our body's actually completely different. So we like try and do this, and then we end up looking bad and feeling bad about ourselves. Like, why don't we just wear the case in point, no pants at present, the no pants party that makes us feel more comfortable? Why don't we just sod off the notes because we know that we are good at something? Right? Am I right or am I right? Walnut, I need your response. I need your feedback. I need to know how you feel about this episode. So please message me at Walnut Wednesday on the Instagrams. Take a little screenshot and tag me on your story and tell me that you are listening to this. And if you are in the walnut tree, post in there and tell me what you think of this, of being yourself. And Walnut, may this episode just be a reminder that being yourself will get you results. Being yourself will get you to the place that either you're wanting to go or where you need to be. So please be yourself, because you really, really are a truly amazing and beautiful, perfect walnut. Okay? Deal? Are you listening? Do you hear me? So I'm going to end this episode. Have a happy Walnut Wednesday, and I look forward to hearing more about this. And let's dive into this a little bit deeper, Walnut, okay? Because why is there such a big fear to be ourselves? And it's like to do with all the societals and all the things. But I have had an evidence this week, Walnut, that being myself truly in a corporate situation as well, made me stand out and made me memorable. And remember way back when, on one of the podcast episodes, someone told me that I'm not memorable. And that could have hurt my feelings. And I still haven't forgotten that sentence, that I wasn't very memorable. So here I am in the face of that as well, growing and learning from those feelings and walnutting anyway. Right? So have a happy Walnut Wednesday. Be yourself. You're beautiful, you're sexy, and you're delicious. And I will talk to you on the podcast next week. Bye.